So I have another book coming out in collaboration, and it's sort of speculative,
People posted it there too, I think.
poetry, and
So I
my friend Jeannine, sharing the table, is doing the art, and it's going to be handmade. So kind of
yeah. How soon is that one?
that's also 2015.
Yeah. So that's a big year for you.
And then it's a big year, and I might be graduating. If I graduate on time.
Oh, you will.
So you're going to go to Minneapolis, AWP?
I love Minneapolis. It's such a great city.
Yeah.
Cold, but it's such a great city.
Yeah, I had a layover on the way
Your
here
brother.
this morning.
And
Minneapolis.
No, I
The
don't know, because I
steward?
followed some poets
Yeah.
He got on the horn and announced,
I don't know if I can.
ladies and gentlemen, it's negative 15 degrees outside right now. Stay warm. And everybody kind of chuckled, but then you go through that rain through the extreme. Airport. Michael Arnson.
Are you here for the well, I should have, with the lanyard in.
I
didn't know this.
He wants to know. He asked me about it. I just got it.
It's hard to know
how it came about. So he wants to know. Your accent.
Yeah, let's
go.
Oh, and you should record it.
You'll be recorded.
For posterity.
Good evening, welcome to Jackstraw. My name is Chris. I'm on the board of Jackstraw. Thanks for being here at the program. I know a lot of you are out of town, and even those in town. Learn more about Jackstraw on Facebook, on Twitter, at Jackstraw Arts, and there's lots of information on jackstraw.org, including details on our writers program. Since 1997, Jackstraw has trained over 200 Northwest writers in the medium of recorded audio and to develop their presentation skills for both live and recorded readings. So please apply for all you readers in the Northwest. And we also do a lot of school programs, such as the Foster Stories of Arrival, Poetry Moments with Seattle World School, and working on a contest right out of this world fantasy sci-fi short story contest. So lots of information. Please find out all about it. Thanks for this evening. I'm going to introduce Jeannine, and then she'll take over.
Yes.
Jeannine is the Poet Laureate of Redmond, Washington, and the author of 3 books of poetry. Becoming the Villainess, She Returns to the Floating World, and Unexplained Fevers. Her work has been featured on NPR's The Writer's Almanac, Verse Daily, and in the year's Best Fantasy and Horror. Her poems have appeared in the American Poetry Review, the Iowa Review, and Prairie Schooner, and she volunteers for Crab Creek Review.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being the superheroes of poetry that you are, a gathering of the best speculative poets from around the country. I was a little disappointed by the lack of speculative poetry events at this year's AWP official offerings. So along with a little nudging from Martha and Brian from Drawn to Marvel, decided to organize this reading. So I wanted to give a big thanks to Jackstraw for letting us be here. I was a Jackstraw writer in 2013. It's fantastic. They teach you voice coaching and all this cool stuff. So it's very nice. And if you're in the Northwest, you should totally apply. It's a wonderful program. And I did want to say so we have a real professional sound engineer here tonight, and he's going to record everybody's individual readings. And if you'd like, he can give you a copy of it. Yes. So it's pretty cool, right? And Glenn is doing a little video recording, so we may or may not put it up on YouTube. If you guys are okay with it, we can do that. So I'd like to, and I wanted to say, so I'm the host of this evening, but Lana Ayers, who is another local speculative writer, is going to be our MC for the evening. And here's her introduction. Lana Heckman Ayers, both a speculative poet and fiction writer, is also a publisher, Concrete Wolf, Moonpath Press, also having served as a poetry editor for Crab Creek Review. Am I missing any presses?
Cooperative press called World Enough Writers.
Oh, there we go. See, so many publishings. Her most recent book of poetry is a wonderful book called A New Red about reimagining the life of Little Red Riding Hood. With a background in math and physics, Lana is also one of the smartest people I know, which is a mark of speculative poets. It's really nice when we were splitting the bill, I was like, we don't have to worry about the math. Anyway, so thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm going to enjoy hearing all of you read, and I hope you have a good time. Thank you. Oh, and there are books for sale at the end, especially the new anthology Drawn to Marvel, but individual poets as well. So check those out. There's snacks and wine and stuff in the back. So enjoy.
Yay.
Yay. Hello everyone. I think the reason that Jeannine invited me to read is because my hair is almost as wild as the poetry. I think that's really the reason she invited me to MC this. It could be. And because my special talent is mispronouncing everything.
No, that's not.
It is my special talent. I'm famous for it in Redmond, you know. So anyways, she asked me to start with a poem.
Yes.
So I will. It's a sonnet, kind of. It's a sonnet. It's called Eulogy for the Alien Who Died Too Young. You were wandering our neighborhood like you didn't know where you belonged. So my brother gave you some water, and I let you have half my tuna sandwich, which you ate in one bite, and for which you were so grateful you kissed my hand with lips that felt like cattails on my skin. I wanted to help you find your way home. Left behind, you told us it was hopeless. My brother and I played catch with you until you cried so hard your double-irised eyes crumbled. The rest of you crumpled to a dusty compost heap. That spring rains leached into the rose hedge. We'd never seen such fragile, fragrant blooms. Yay! And I get to introduce all the wonderful poets for the evening. We are going alphabetically, so you know where you're going to fall. And our first poet this evening is Bryan D. Dietrich. Bryan is the author of a book-length study on comics, Wonder Woman Unbound, and 6 books of poems, and many of them are for sale out here. Krypton Knights, Universal Monsters, Prime Directive, Lovecraft, The Assumption, and The Monstrance. He is also co-editor of Drawn to Marvel, the world's first anthology of superhero poetry. Please welcome Bryan.
This is all very surreal. Marta and I started working on this 10 years ago, and here we are. And there's this really cool thing. Round of applause for Evan and Minor Arcana Press for believing in us. And for letting the whole thing out so beautifully. Everybody else for being in it. I'm going to read just a few poems, because I'm told I have 5 minutes, and that's like impossible. So, this is from my first book, Krypton Knights, and it's called I Can't. Listen, this isn't even my planet. I just work here. Man of letters, mild-mannered, nerves of less than steel. Yes, I can outrun most anything. Thieves, mid-range sports sedans, shoemaker levy, can chew a mouthful of coal to a cut of diamonds. But I'm not as Delphic as you dream. I get sleep apnea, hemorrhoids, runs in my tights. I like Gilligan's Island and late-night horror flick medleys, thermonuclear trust funds, Greenpeace for guns, heavy metal milk lobbyists. None of it gets me wet the way it used to. If I could, I'd curl up in my cape with an old comic, an orange soda, a little Vivaldi. No telephone booths, just Ming the Merciless to take me away. Oh well, shit happens. Worlds collide, Babes fall out of the sky, grow up, get lives. My flat's just over there. No, the brownstone. Yeah, that one. Corner room. Third from, no. Up. Anyway, I took this position because frankly it looked like a job for me. Now I'm not so sure anymore. I'm tired of being, well, necessary. You don't know what it's like. Hardly feeling a thing, seeing through people, overhearing assassination plots, 2 countries over and still needing new underwear every Christmas. One day I hate the boots, belt, bikini, this S applique. The next I feel like punching every horn-rimmed dweeb I see. Dad warned me it might be like this. Son, he said, you'll just want to come home. Problem is, I can't. And the title poem of the book, which appears in Drawn to Marvel. Krypton Nights. This is not spoken by Clark, this is spoken by his heavenly father, Jor-El. If I could leave my shadow only behind, the air my body displaced these many years, the suggestion of water, night sweat where just, say, a cheekbone was before, dread, even that I would bequeath you if I could. Yet, if you've received this, remember tall sticks planted in the ground at noon. Now, remember there is no this, no me, no reader, no last planetary observer, no journal, no witness, no conclave, no revival, no grand revolution, no susurration, no sea to come from, no sun to return to, no Krypton days, no Krypton nights, only charmed figments of electric residue, this ghost of light, pulse, silence, binary diaspora, this me who I am not but will be soon, if only briefly. Until you turn toward your own pale sun, the focus shifts, the quality of light changes, and the shadow you yourself cast grows shorter or longer, and you find that you found another me, and through me, another fragment of who I may suggest, and soon have constructed a vast history of, well, your own. Still, for civilization of one, its anatomy is just as real as you were when I touched you, entered, re-emerged. This, then, this is the power of knowing, this death. When the last Krypton night simmers over the rim of your world, when we meet in the sky to find ourselves sharing stars, when what was once familiar slinks away, disoriented, hungry for the next clarity, remember shadows cast from nothing in the dawn. And since Evan tells me that's a downer, I thought I'd end with a funny one. This is called I Wonder. It starts with an epigraph from Wonder Woman #1. Diana, like any other girl with new clothes, cannot wait to try them on. Question is, would I matter if I didn't tout these tits? If my legs weren't total 72 inches of eye candy? And get a load of the get-up. Well, if it doesn't get you up, you're more than mostly dead. Whitman said, there is that lot of me and all so luscious. But then he didn't have to hide the lot in a hanky. Try fighting Hirohito in heels, Nazis in a nightie, crazed crackheads with the wind whistling up your crack. I defy you guys to name just one super savior, one with a prick who lets it all hang out. Sure, they leap about in long handles, uber underoos, but even underdog unzips more than me before hiking a leg. So, okay, definitely not a dog. Could be worse. I could look like a Lois. Maybe hot girl after a turkey shoot. But when I hear that other busty bombshell say, I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way, I have to wonder, do alien androids really need to know I have nipples? Does Wonder Man buy Nair by the crate? Shanna the she-devil, does she worry over her pits? I don't suppose I've ever had another option. It's all about the cleavage. And I don't just mean what I could do with an arrow and a dozen axe heads. To do what I do, saving you in this world that would otherwise have me Amazon only. To do it dirty, hairy, in a jumper. To do it plumper would beg the old joke. You know the one, about that kid, let's say Tim. To save himself, his town and the like, he had to stick his finger in the dike. She beat the shit out of him. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next reader is Jeannine Hall Gailey. She served as Poet Laureate of Redmond and author of 3 books. Can I say the upcoming 4th book?
But I haven't signed any contracts.
But it's coming out. It's coming out. We don't know from where, maybe, but it's coming out. So Becoming the Villainess, She Returns to the Floating World, Unexplained Fevers, and The Robot Scientist's Daughter soon at a bookstore near you. Her work has appeared in the American Poetry Review, the Iowa Review, and Prairie Schooner. Look for her at webish6.com.
Thank you. Say, a couple weeks before AWP, I broke my arm. So if I'm not moving this arm as much, it's because my elbow is broken. I just didn't wear my sling because I'm vain. So, all right. So this is a good follow-up for Bryan's poem. This is called Wonder Woman Dreams of the Amazon. I miss the tropes of paradise, green vines roped around wrists, jasmine coronets, the improbable misty clothing of my tribe. I dream of the land of my birth. They named me after their patron goddess. I was to be a warrior for their kind. I miss my mother, Hippolyta. In my dreams, she wraps me tightly again in the American flag, warning me, cling to your bracelets, your magic lasso. Don't be a fool for men. She's always lecturing me, telling me not to leave her. Sometimes she changes into a doe, and I see my father shooting her blood. Sometimes in these dreams, it's me who shoots her. My daily transformation from prim kitten-bowed suit to bustier with red, white, and blue stars is less complicated. The invisible jet makes for clean escapes. The animals are my spies and allies. Inexplicably, snow-feathered doves appear in my hands. I capture Nazis and Martians with boomerang grace. When I turn and turn, the music plays louder. The glow around me burns white hot. I become everything I was born to be. The dreams of the mother, the threat of the father. So that's my first book, Becoming the Villainess. I'm doing one poem from each book. So this next one is from She Returns to the Floating World, which is, it's about Japanese anime and folktales and those kind of things. I don't know whether any of you are anime fans. Do we have any anime fans? So there's a trope there of cyborg women who have had severed limbs and that kind of thing, which I, of course, have a lot of empathy with right now. So this is called The Lost Limbs of Anime Girl in Space. Somehow in these futuristic worlds, we have always left an arm and a leg behind, as if these amputations make us seem more accessible. A portion of our torsos beneath the torn top visible, a glimpse of shining silver. Our hair still charmingly tousled, we are victims of some civil war or village atrocity conveniently unwritten, forgotten now, military campaigns hidden in our pasts. Only these reminders that we might not be entirely human, merely a ghost caught in a metal shell. She'll give you an arm and a leg, they joke, while we wake in the night to scratch phantom skin, the joints between flesh and machine always aching, our souls affixed in some permanent alchemy to this heavy metal. So, this poem I was actually coached on here at Jack Straw, so I thought I had to read it. This is from my third book, Unexplained Fevers, which is kind of about the traps that fairy tale heroines tend to fall into. So I wrote a couple of advice poems for these fairy tale heroines. This one is called, I Forgot to Tell You the Most Important Part. Without this knowledge, you'll never make it. It's 1 part fashion advice and 2 parts survivalism. Learn to talk to people so they think you're honest, but never be honest. Cooking eggs may save your life, so crack them neat and firm, pour into the skillet, stir gently. Forget about your shoes. People will judge you by your shine, the imminent light you offer them. Be a lamppost in the wilderness. Be the elephant in the showroom. If you steal the idol, make sure you're carrying a weighted bag of sand. No surprises. We've lied about having it all. It's either the piano or the pit viper. Cinderella's shoe came off at midnight because it hurt, and Red Riding Hood's real story involves cannibalism and a striptease. Don't wear red lipstick. Don't you kiss your mother with that mouth? Long bangs hide a multitude of sins. Ask your grandmother about the herbs she used to swallow while pregnant. The butterflies here didn't start out black. They were white as onion skin, and the forest more ominous before the smokestacks. Well, here's your little basket and red coat. Sweetheart, sweet meat, smile like you mean it, shake what you've got while you've got it, go out into the world and knock them dead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeannine. Next up we have Sally Rosen Kindred. Sally is the author of 2 books of poems from Mayapple Press, No Eden and Book of Asters. Her recent chapbook, Darling Hands, Darling Tongue, came out from Hyacinth Girl in 2013. And it follows Tinkerbell, Wendy Darling, and Tiger Lily through their adventures during and after Neverland. She has received fellowships from the Maryland State Arts Council and the Virginia Center for Creative Arts. Her poems have appeared in Quarterly West, Blackbird, and Verse Daily, as well as Goblin Fruit and Strange Horizons. A native of North Carolina, she lives in Maryland.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I can't even tell you. And somebody did the math at the end of dinner, which was great too. So it's all good. I'm just going to read 2 quick poems from Darling Hands, Darling Tongue. They're both Tinkerbell poems. And the argument could be made that Tinkerbell is not a superhero, but here are these poems. You can make your own decision. The first one I wanted to mention, these poems came out of reading J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan and Wendy, so the original 1904 with annotations, which is a very different story than the Disney version. So Tinkerbell, who you may know from the films, is a little charming golden thing of light, is different in the book. And she has hit puberty, unlike everybody else in Neverland. And she has a job to do. So I'm going to start with Tinkerbell thinks about what she wants. And I'll start with a quote from the text, just to give you a little more idea of who she is and why I wanted to let her talk a little more. Quote, to this, Tink replied in these words, "You silly ass," and disappeared into the bathroom. She is quite a common fairy, Peter explained apologetically. She is called Tinkerbell because she mends the pots and kettles. Tink, Tink, makes me sick, the lick of their soft calls, this flighty work. Dust won't take the dents from these pots, won't unwarp the kettle. I want impact, the magic of my fists, fixing metal through their brute launch. Wish I'd had the luck to gulp a clock, to have a life divided by firm ticking from a heavy center. Instead, tink, tink, coming always from the outside, feather feeble, the brush of words from boys who'll never want more than a mother. Instead, I'm steam, goddamn, desire like waters, thinning to the ends of me and lifting me unwilling from the earth each time I see him. Peter, pull me down. I want you, but wish I did not need your hands to do my dirt work, your heavy heat to solder, or your pretty mouth to tell me over, make me more than a sliver of a dead child's laugh. Kiss me kettle hard, yank my sorry ass from never. Somewhere, I'm skim without wings. Somewhere, my name means tough as light. I'm going to read one more Tinkerbell poem. The poems in the chapbook follow these characters through alternate, or if you're me, inevitable endings. What you may remember about Tinkerbell, at one point in the story, she's poisoned, and the Lost Boys are told they have to clap and say they believe in fairies to bring her back. So what we have here is a really terrible healthcare system. And also, what we have is a female whose life depends on her community to believe she exists. So I figured that's not going to sustain itself. So I killed her off. Oops. And I'm not going to read the autopsy report, but it does appear in the chapbook. So if you're curious, that's about how weird this gets. This poem is her last words. It's called What Tinkerbell Tells the Last Boy. You thought I'd last. Boys don't die of daybreak, but fairies' hearts are black math. When you're not looking, we fly past the decimal point into sun's thousandths, or hit a planet, a plate, a wall marked no body or boy. Our skins fry. We sweat out mashed glass, heat from the swat of a song-soft hand or hook. You think it can't matter what you believe, but some of us are thin as dreams, blooms dancing on your lips' pale stems, dancing because we can't land. We're dwindling imaginary numbers, counting on your fruit gloss skin. In my heart now, light's division, pinwheel wings spinning down. In my brain, a factory of clouds, push out your lost mouth. You thought I was a holiday, some darling's toy. You thought a boy could only play with fairies. Now look, my breath's all soot. In a bitter mirror, dear, we both looked sweet. You smelled glitter, so you bit electric. You cracked my candy heart between your teeth.
Next up we have Jason McCall from the great state of Alabama, where he currently teaches at the University of Alabama. He holds an MFA from the University of Miami, and his poetry has been featured in Cimarron Review, Fickle Muses, the Los Angeles Review, New Letters, Poems and Plays, and other journals. His previous collections include Silver, I Can Explain, and most recently, Dear Hero from Marsh Hawk Press. Welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm going to read 3 poems from my latest book, Dear Hero, because this book really wouldn't exist without people who believed and supported in speculative poetry. In a lot of ways, poems that I wrote in this collection, I wrote them after reading like Bryan's work or Jeannine's work, and Kelly Davio just came in, and it's, you know, she's a friend of speculative poetry, and so in a lot of ways, you know, me reading this work, it in some way is the easiest, I guess, most simple thank you I can give to kind of people who've written, people who studied speculative poetry. Because for me, coming through undergrad and graduate school, I didn't really know if there was a place for what I was doing, a place for my weird Action Comics reference, but even if the place is right here, this is a damn good place. So I'm going to read a few. The first one I'm going to read is called Form Letter for Rejected Heroes. And when I was writing this collection, I was also applying for jobs, applying for things. And kind of one of the themes in the book is that like being a hero is kind of part-time work, where we need you when we need you, when we don't need you, shut up. And I think for a lot of us as artists, as academics, as editors, we understand that. So this is Form Letters for Rejected Heroes. Thank you for being interested in saving us from the bellies of wolves and the witches' boiling pots. But after reviewing your application and ancestry, we must inform you that your radiation-powered wet dreams will never come true. No lightning exists to feed you with the power of 1,000,000 dwarves going nova. You will never balance a planet on your back. The universe does not tremble at the thought of you awakening your dormant powers. Your coming was not foretold in prophecy. No God snuck his way into your mother's lap. Your father is an electrician, and we do not believe this will give you electrical abilities in the future. We wish you the best of luck in finding a place for your talents, and we encourage you to keep looking for magic words and weathered dictionaries, for swords forgotten in stone. And the middle section of my book just kind of dips into alternate universes. And I'm going to pull out one. This is Earth 811. And one of the best gifts I ever got was like a Marvel Comics encyclopedia. They kind of mapped out the alternate universes. And Earth 811 is technically the Days of Future Past Earth. And we were getting an X-Men movie coming out. A lot of us are either going to be really excited or really disappointed in a couple of months because of it. And this has a reference to my niece, and I love my nieces. So I like reading poems about my nieces. They're fun. And this is Earth 811. With a zeal greater than John Connor, my niece, sock-gloved in ski mask, pushes away my midnight cereal and begs me to help her bust up some robots. I refuse. She says she doesn't care if they are Autobots or Decepticons, Ultron clones, Brainiac probes, Gundam suits, visions from the future, Manhunters, Red Tornado fragments, Skynet HKs, Red Ribbon androids, Doombots, Hephaestian automatons, Omega Sentinels, sentient Iron Man armors, or GPS systems that just give too much lip. When we miss a turn. Finally, I have to tell her it's too late to fight machines, and we both go to sleep disappointed. The last poem I'll look at, the end of this poem ends with a lot of this book was completed in the year 2011. In the year 2011, an F5 tornado came through Tuscaloosa. I'm originally from Montgomery, Alabama, but I did my undergraduate work in Tuscaloosa. I basically became an adult in Tuscaloosa. I did my undergraduate work there. I teach there now. And so in 2011, again, the tornado came through April 27th, and so 2011 was also a big year for kind of superhero movies, a big year for summer blockbusters, and so the way things played out during the day, I would maybe help volunteer, or I would sit with friends, or just talk to people and let them know that I was okay. And then during the afternoon, I might drive to go see a movie, and I'd have to drive down one of the most affected streets, one of the places where the tornado cut through, and so I was basically driving through a lot of broken homes and ruins to sit in an air-conditioned movie theater. And so these were probably some of the poems which I didn't want to write. I didn't know where to put them. And so if I'm being honest, I stuffed them at the end, and I didn't really want to look at them. But I knew they needed to be there. But I really wasn't thinking about craft or format. It was just information I had to get out. This one's called Captain America Comes to Tuscaloosa. And we're in Seattle, so there's a veiled Alex Rodriguez joke in here too. Captain America Comes to Tuscaloosa. Here we go. One more Yankee on steroids pretending he's better than us. Telling us what flag we should fly in our yards. What men we can let live next door. Thank you for punching Hitler in the face. And thank you for stopping the Nazi bomb headed for the East Coast. But we don't need you giving us lectures about fighting for home. About when it's time to give up our guns. About being stuck in time. every bomb and dog bite and baseball bat dressed in a black boy's brains gets frozen like wedding cake and unthawed whenever some poli-sci major from Oregon writes nigger on a bathroom stall as part of her dissertation research. But you wouldn't know about that, would you, Cap? I'm sure the only colors you see are red, white, and blue. I'm sure you just want to help us win the fight. Thanks, guys.
Jason Mott hasn't come in. Okay. All right. Our next reader is Evan J. Peterson. He is the author of Skin Job and The Midnight Channel, as well as the volume editor of Gay City 5, Ghosts in Gaslight, Monsters in Steam. His writing appears in Weird Tales, The Stranger, The Rumpus, and Aim for the Head, from which his poetry was excerpted for the New York Times. Welcome, Evan.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'll read from the Midnight Channel, which is my new chapbook out from Babel Salvage, who's a local Seattle publisher. Let's start heavy and go funnier. So almost all the poems in the Midnight Channel are dedicated to the female heroes of horror films. Joanna Eberhardt, The Stepford Wives, played by Catherine Ross, 1975. A daylight thriller. Not many bodices left to rip. This is all so silly. It's just my head. Such pretty little homes, ticky-tacky little hats and gloves. It wasn't my fault. I didn't see it coming. This is all so silly. It's just my head. Tomboy Bobby is a manic rash. No one to talk to but the camera. Stepford isn't known for its repartee. I just want to look like a woman. Stop by any time. I'll be here. All so silly. Get the inflection just right. Tied off by your own doppelganger, but with deeper cleavage. Forced to apologize every time. I get smashed, silly. God knows he's given me things. The man in the ice cream suit has a recipe you simply must attempt. Eat, not too much. When I cut myself, I bleed. Put my head in the oven. Also silly. It's just my head, my hands, my throat, myself. Nancy Thompson, A Nightmare on Elm Street, played by Heather Langenkamp, 1984. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Why these kids today? Dying with their headphones on, making messes. 3, 4, better lock your door. Death rises, smears the ceiling. Your friends are bags of blood. 16, going on dead as fuck. Nancy, honey, can we discuss what post-traumatic stress has done to your hair? 5, 6, get your crucifix. Your whole world goes runny, pliable. A membrane between darkness and blade. Come, the cheese-melty scarecrow, red in burn and claw. 7, 8, better stay up late. Don't fall asleep in the hospital, he'll scratch your breasts. Don't fall asleep in the tub, he'll scratch your thighs. Don't fall asleep watching Evil Dead, he'll scratch your eyes out. Still, the dream wound bleeds in broad daylight. 9, 10, never sleep again. And we'll end with my very favorite final girl, If I could be a woman, I would be Ellen Ripley. In Alien, played by Sigourney Weaver in 1979. The trick to making sets imposing: place children in spacesuits and pretend they're done growing. Soon, they're caught in the mother ship. Computer voice: house is haunted. Command prompt: leave house. Computer voice: you can't. Command prompt: why not? Computer voice: request pending. Raised in a vacuum, Giger's iconic sex machine slithers and snaps. Lord knows it has an appetite. There's a mouth in its mouth, so it can eat while it eats its way out. Computer voice: destructive forms of reproduction. The monster clicks along, picks your mates off one by one, but the villain sleeps among you, rolling his girly mags up tight and stuffing them down your gullet. Command prompt: deposit seed. Everything gets milky, choked. Even the creature's blood eats its way through metal and bone. So, open that airlock, Ripley. Breathe umbilically and tell that slick black cockface to go and suck an egg. Thank you.
Singing voice as well. And our final reader of the evening is Lesley Wheeler. Lesley Wheeler's poetry collections include The Receptionist and Other Tales from Aqueduct Press, that's the most recent. And she has a Tiptree Award honor book, Heterotopia, winner, and she has a 2010 winner of the Barrow Street Press Poetry Prize, yes. And Heathen. Her recent poems and essays appear or are forthcoming in the Gettysburg Review, Poetry, Crab Orchard Review, and other magazines. She teaches at Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, and blogs about poetry's possible worlds at lesliewheeler.org.
Since I'm in final position, I'm in a good position to say thank you to everybody. I want to thank Lana for being our MC, and thank Chris and all the Jack Straw people for having us here, and thank Jeannine so much. This is the very first time I've met her in person, although she's even Skyped into my class. So it's really wonderful to be here, and of course thanks so much to all of you. The first poem I'm going to read, the description of it is going to make it sound very bad, but basically it's about the death of a pet and the poor closure in Justice League cartoons. Come together. So it's called Space Monkeys. Her claws flared until the wretched halt. Our backyard clay blocked the shovel, and sorrow jammed in our throats. We stroked her cooling fur and lay her in a deep hole. Only when he saw the litter box gone did my 3-year-old halt his constant joyful thrash to mourn. I am ruthless about endings. I am quick with scorn for the girl who can't dump the guy or season the dish, whose slow red pen washes heaps of junk essays with sympathetic gore. All those 70s cartoons that close with a pet's quip, only cowards laugh at the space monkey while the bad man shuffles away in irons. Just dash in some salt and be done. Still, snapped threads on the chairs remind me of her, and darkness in corners. My son carries her picture to school, to dinner parties. Every few hours I catch my breath and think, no, it isn't time yet, even though the bouquet is brittle on her grave, even as I tell my boy, no, we can never dig her up again. And this one I'll read in Sally's honor. I've just taught her a Peter Pan chapbook in a speculative poetry class, and so I have one Peter Pan poem. I'm going to read it. It's a sonnet, and it's called Hook. I fret, as Eton's captains do, about good form. Pirates must cut a figure, even though Pan outmasters every seaman. Surely God prefers that lawless boy, guards him from pain, cherishes even his baby fangs. I will dream of them when I have been devoured, my dapper prosthesis rusted, compass lost, best run tippled by fairies. It will hardly matter that I sharpened my lapels every night, ironed my boots, polished my mustaches. Yet somehow it does. I still believe in neat cuffs round bloody hands, painstaking stitches for hideous wounds. This is my one power, to keep my motives small, my heart impure. That one and this little next excerpt I'm going to read are from the latest book, The Receptionist and Other Tales, and I should say my publishers are here. I'm so glad that the Academic Press editors are here to help me celebrate it. I just was talking to Lana before the reading about her T.S. Eliot obsession. This is from a long poem that's closely based on the wasteland, but it's called Zombie Thanksgiving. My in-laws live in Pittsburgh, which, as you'll know, my husband grew up 5 minutes from the Monroeville Mall, where some of those very important scenes were filmed. So this is the fourth section of that. If you remember the very short fourth section of the wasteland, it's about Phlebas the Phoenician, the drowned sailor. Mine is called No More Room in Hell. The zombie in hot pants, a fortnight dead, forgot the cry of the register and how to tell the cost of things and the names of her friends. A necktied zombie snacked on her with relish. As they rose and rose again, they swatted at zombies in turbans or baggy jeans, staggering through the food court. Cult fan or critic, oh you who scramble into the beating copter, consider hot pants zombie who once was tender-hearted too. And I'll close with a poem that's only appeared now in Drawn to Marvel, the brand new anthology, and it's very much an AWP poem. It's called Manifesto, and so in it I embody as two invented superheroes the two sort of forces in my character that don't really have to do with poetry writing so much as the sort of the po-biz, getting the poetry out into the world. And one is a belief that it's a terrible world and we all need to be kind to each other and support each other. And another part of me is the one who thinks that transcendent brilliance is the only thing anybody should ever strive for and nothing else matters. So, you know, those two parts of me don't get along. So those, as they're embodied in this poem, they have a kind of complicated relationship. So, Manifesto it's called. The fate of the multiverse will be decided through a climactic battle between poetry karma woman, hips thrown into fortunate shadow by her quilt cape, and Judgeotron, who knows that only perfectly controlled power wins. He is her kryptonite, and she object of his most fragrant envy, while sipping cognac every evening in a crystal glitter unassailable alpine fortress of literary merit. She lives comfortably in the valley, but suspects her work is smudged, the fusion reactor embedded in each stanza steadily, fatally leached to force. You say, this is fantasy's hitch, false dichotomy, predictably gendered, then a race for resolution. But she who does unto others lusts for the pitiless metal god of ambition. Perhaps there is a cottage at some alternate altitude where they could try on each other's clothes, twinkly armor, pouchy tights. How embarrassing for both if, despite their oaths and alliances, the paparazzi caught them. No one can know how she despises and deceives League members, especially competent, well-connected man and pretty good girl. How his most cryptic, brilliant productions are true love letters, addressee unknown.
just consider it an honor to be here tonight. Thank all of you, not just the readers who I feel like are part of my family, being speculative poets. It's kind of tough out there. And not only that, but some fantastic editors and publishers, Aqueduct, Kelly Davies, Lily Review, Minor Arcana, and Moonpath, and everybody, so great. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. And afterwards, we've got some snacks and wine outside, and we've got books for sale. I'm going to close with one last poem from this possibly to be published mostly soon book.
Call us if it's not.
And we were discussing before the reading Mystery Science 3000, which my friend Kelly did lend me like 50 videos of. So so I thought I'd read this in honor of all my nerdy friends here tonight. I love you all so much. Seriously, I'm feeling very... All right, well. The Robot Scientist's Daughter in Films. The robot scientist's daughter is always beautiful in films and a neat blonde updo and 50s style dress. She helps the hero escape, she leads him off the island or planet, she gives him the code to shut down the robots before they take over the world. The robot scientist's daughter carefully holds on to secrets about her father at the supper table. She's demure, but she knows her way around a gun rack or a test tube. She sneaks out to rescue prisoners after her father has a drink. The robot scientist's daughter must be there to humanize the robot scientist. He is both a protagonist we identify with and a villain we know must fall. If he had no daughter, the camera would have no way to enter his laboratory with sympathetic eyes. Sometimes the robot scientist's daughter pretends to be a robot herself, handing out food efficiently without smudging her makeup. Sometimes she turns out to be a robot all along, implanted with heartwarming but false memories. Sometimes she has a telepathic link to genetically engineered dinosaurs. When she was a child, she had only robots to play games with, mostly hide and seek and chess. This both helped and hurt her socialization. The robot scientist might be named Morbius, while his daughter is named Susan. She will be his downfall. The island crumbling, scientists buried beneath rubble, killer shrews loosed upon the world. Thanks so much for being here. Seriously, you guys are great. It's just so much fun.
I think they need to know a count for how many CDs people have. So
Oh.
we do them all the time.
Does everybody want their CD?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, all seven.
All seven.
I'm glad you read that last poem.
Oh, well, I love hearing everybody's poetry. Wasn't there? I wish all of it